Hello and welcome back to Getting Started with Laravel 4. In the previous video we installed a command line tool and Composer. In this video we'll set up our first Laravel project and have a peek around under the hood. So Laravel is a PHP framework. But what does that mean exactly? Well, if you come from procedural code like me, you know that you do a lot of repetitive coding in setting up a project. Now that kind of thing can get really cumbersome. And it is easy to introduce errors. Well, a framework basically takes care of all this setting up and configuration for you, and it throws in goodies like database abstraction, authentication, bulk email handling, and routing, to name but a few. And on top of all that, it offers you a well-defined structure to put your code in, helping you to separate business logic and presentation and enabling to keep your code well structured, readable, and maintainable. Now Laravel handles all this without getting in your way. You know what? Let's create a Laravel project right now. Open up your command line tool and change directories into where your web projects live. For me, that's htdocs. Now once you're there, create a new Laravel project using Composer by simply typing Composer, create-project, Laravel/Laravel, and then you'll need to give your project a name as well. In our case, that will just be Laravel. Now it will take some time for Composer to bring in Laravel and all of its dependencies. So you might as well grab a cup of coffee and I'll just fast forward a bit. Okay, so I'm back. Let's have a look. I'll just fire up my browser here. Now for me, our Laravel project folder is accessible on localhost 888/Laravel. And then inside of that I'll have to go to the public folder, which is the web root for any Laravel installation. Now if you see this screen like me, congratulations, you've just installed your first Laravel instance. Well, Laravel also leverages PHP 5.4's built-in server. Just open up your terminal and cd into the project root. And now all you have to do is type in php artisan serve. And this will boot up a development server at localhost 8000. And let's have a look right here. And yay, that's working as well. Now you can stop this server from the terminal like you stop most running commands by simply typing Ctrl-C. Well, that was easy enough. Now let's just see what Composer has brought into the project. Well, from the look of it, it did not only bring in Laravel, but also a lot of other dependencies. I see a lot of Symfony stuff here, and also SwiftMailer, and Redis, and Carbon. All these are dependencies for Laravel. Okay, let's have a look at the installation itself, shall we? I'll just open up the project in PHP Storm, but you can of course use your favorite editor. Here, at the root of the installation is a composer.json file. This is the configuration file for the entire Composer installation. All packages must have a unique vendor name, which is like the company or developer's name, and a unique package name. So here the vendor and package name are Laravel and Framework. So if you want to bring in other Composer packages into this install, just add them to this require section here. And then for the rest, the Composer files define some auto-loading right here and scripts that can be run by Composer after installing, updating, and so on and so forth. Okay, now next we have a vendor folder. This is where all the Composer packages have been placed. Let's open up Laravel Framework and have a look. Now this folder also has a composer.json file. And you know what? That lists the requirements for Laravel. And all these packages can have their own requirements as well. And that is how Composer builds the entire install. Now the actual Laravel source code lives in source illuminate. And here you see all the modules that Laravel consists of. Now you will want to consult this folder regularly as you're learning Laravel, because basically there is no better documentation than the source code. You see, the code is very well documented and really readable. Okay, so that covers the Laravel core. Now inside the app folder, there's a storage folder. Now you want to make sure that the storage folder and all the folders within that are writable so that Laravel can write cache files, log files, and compile views. And the easiest way to do this is just to open up your terminal again. For now, I'll just give everybody write permissions on the storage folders. So here we go, chmod, and I'll just make sure that's recursively. I'll set it to 777 and we'll apply that to app storage, and that should do. Let's just quickly check. Here's our folders and they're all set to 777, so that's okay. If Laravel cannot write to either of those folders, then it will just greet you with a white screen of death. Next you'll see there's this public folder. Now that contains a single PHP file called index.php and an htaccess file. Now the htaccess file has a rewrite section. This sets Apache's rewrite module, and it does the following. If the request is not an existing directory or an existing file, then that request is routed to index.php. So it really doesn't matter what you put inside your URL. Whether it be admin or foobar, all the requests are run through index.php. And then from index.php, the framework is fired up. Cool, so let's have a look at that file. Now this is where Laravel is included and configured. First of all, an autoload file is included that sets up autoloading for the entire Laravel core and any other Composer packages you may have in your project. Then a bootstrap/start.php file is loaded and the Laravel application is run. And then there's this other folder called app, and this is where you'll be spending most of your time, as this will hold your own code. Now that is for a different lesson, but all I really like to do now is just a little bit of configuration. Inside of the bootstrap folder is a file called start.php. Now let's open that up and allow for environment detection. Now by default Laravel assumes I'm on a production machine, but as I'm on my development machine right now, I would like to add my machine name to the local array, which is right here, so Laravel knows that I'm in development. Now finding your machine name is very easy. All you have to do is die and then run a helper function which is called getHostName. And now that is dumped to the screen in my browser. I can just copy that and add it to the local array like so. And remove this. Alternatively, on Mac and Linux, you can open up the terminal and type hostname, and that will give you the same result. And now Laravel knows I'm on a development machine, and it will show a stack trace when something goes wrong. For instance, if I type in a non-existing URL, I'm presented with a not found HTTP exception and a nice stack trace with all the environment variables for easy debugging. Okay, so now that we have our Laravel install running, in the next lesson, we'll build our first Laravel pages following the model view controller pattern. I'll see you there.